Towns for the Levites. Now the family heads of the Levites approached Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the other tribal families of Israel at Shiloh in Canaan, and said to them, "The Lord commanded through Moses that you give us towns to live in, with pasture lands for our livestock." So as the Lord had commanded, the Israelites gave the Levites the following towns and pasture lands out of their own inheritance. The first lot came out for the Kohathites, clan by clan. The Levites, who were descendants of Aaron the priest, were allotted 13 towns from the tribes of Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin. The rest of Kohath's descendants were allotted 10 towns from the clans of the tribes of Ephraim, Dan, and half of Manasseh. The descendants of Gershon were allotted 13 towns from the clans of the tribes of Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and the half tribe of Manasseh in Bashan. The descendants of Merari, clan by clan, received 12 towns from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Zebulun. So the Israelites allotted the Levites these towns and their pasture lands as the Lord had commanded through Moses. From the tribes of Judah and Simeon, they allotted the following towns by name. These towns were assigned to the descendants of Aaron, who were from the Kohathite clans of the Levites, because the first lot fell to them. They gave them Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, with its surrounding pasture land in the hill country of Judah. Arba was the forefather of Anak. But the fields and villages around the city they had given to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, as his possession. So, quick reference back. Remember, Caleb was with Joshua. It was Joshua and Caleb that were part of the 12 that were selected originally to go to the promised land and give a report of how everything was. And Caleb and Joshua were the only two that came back and gave the correct report. The other 10 gave false reports. And so that prevented Israel from moving forward, and it prevented them for 40 years. A whole generation had to die off. So let's think about that. This is a good place to think about and catch up. So where we were left off was that the tribes from the previous Bible studies, that the tribes were now starting to get their allotments. And there were already quarreling. And there was already issues because some were saying that they didn't have enough land, and because they're more populous than the other clans and other tribes. So that was dealt with because Joshua gave it to the Lord. Exactly things that we should do when we come into troubles or thoughts or questions or judgments. We need to give it directly to the Lord. And Joshua did that. He had all the clans come together that had not received their allotment and cast lots. After a survey, he did another survey, and this time the survey came back correct, And so he did another survey. They came back, they gave him the information, and then Joshua cast lots in front of the tabernacle, the moving tabernacle. And so he was able to give the clans their appropriate allotment from that. And also, we also know that the Levites were not going to receive land because they were dedicated to the Lord. So they would work in the areas in the temples built for the Lord, and to help make sure, help spread the gospel, help keep everybody in line for where they would live in the towns and such, amongst the clans, amongst the tribes. And so now that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the towns for the Levites. And also what we just read was They didn't get the certain area because it was given to Caleb, and that was part of his promise, because he did keep he kept aligned with the Lord, his thought process and everything, his walk with the Lord, and so he was rewarded. He did not perish in the desert. He got to see the promised land and obtain his inheritance. And so bringing that into nowadays, past, present, future, we talked about previous Bible study how patience and understanding, and how we have to because sometimes things don't happen overnight. It could take years, months, or days, months, years for them to happen, but it will eventually happen. And being grateful just because it's going to happen, just because we know it's going to happen as well. And when it comes to these Levites as well, as you can see, they kind of waited to know where they were going. They were kind of last, for their allotment as to where they were going to be. Not actual allotment of land, but actual where they would reside. So when it comes to these and talking about the Levites, Caleb, everything that we know, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind? What kind of things can you think of that brings it into the present day with your life, with my life? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think?